Good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock Eastern. It's only 9 o'clock Pacific, I know, but good morning. We are ready and we are fired up and loaded to talk about what we're going to talk about today. So listen up. We are talking about selling, but we're going to talk about a specific part of selling. So what I want to do is I'm going to hide all my friends here real quick, bring them in one by one, give them a proper introduction. So my name is Mark Banfield. I'm the founder of Band Faith Systems, where we help dealerships with the sales process. We help dealerships manage inventory. Basically, we help dealerships become more profitable. Joining us today on our panel will be, first of all, Mr. Ron Catronio. Ron, you want to do a quick intro of yourself?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Ron Catronio, Professional Edge. Been involved in the business for many years. I'm a motivational sales consultant. So everything I do has a little bit of a twist on it. So happy to be here and get started.
All right. Joining me and Ron will be Alex. Alex, quick intro.
Hello, Alex there. Have a company called Michigan Dealer Service, working with dealers of all shapes and sizes. Been around the dealership industry for quite some time, so glad to be here.
And bringing up the rear, but by no means least in talent, Mark Shinenberry.
Hi, I'm Mark Shinenberry. I work in the retail automotive field. Been doing it for quite some time. Currently, I have a company called Vehicle Concierge Service, and I'm helping with vehicle acquisitions, specifically used cars in these crazy times where used cars cost so much and at times seem like they're not available, but we're getting them and we're selling them. So that's what I do.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, guys. So here's what we're going to do. I want to tell a quick story, paint a picture, and then we're going to talk about the topic of the day. So the average customer goes to a dealership, typical Midwest, East Coast, West Coast, I don't care, goes to a dealership. And far too often when they come up to the dealership, they pull up, get out of their car, there will be a group of salespeople at the door, all them greeters hanging out at the door, shooting the bull with each other. Dropping their cigarettes on the ground, having a chit chat. Okay. Now, a lot of dealerships have really fought against that, but it still happens. You got people hanging out on the lot. You got people walking around. So my question to you is, instead of these guys standing around and waiting for a customer, waiting for the dealership to provide them with a customer, what can they do to help themselves find customers on their own? And I ask this question because if you talk to salespeople, a lot of times they will tell you that, hey, I'm in business for myself. I'm just doing it here at the dealership. Yes, they're employees, but they view themselves as independent contractors. So what can they do to get their own customers? How do they prospect effectively?
I think what you just said, Mark, was the key word. They're standing around the front door waiting for someone to show up at the dealership, and that's exactly the wrong thing to do. If you've got time to stand around and do nothing, you've got time to work your owner base, to prospect, to gather people that may be interested either now or sometime in the future. What you're doing is you're building a downline, and you do that all the time.
Okay, so let's get a little more real here. What do you need to do? Mark, I'll go to you. What do you need to do to start that prospecting? Ron's absolutely right. You need to build a downline. You need to have people in your pipeline. How do you start that? Where do you find those people?
Well, there's going to be some variables here, right? If you're a brand new salesperson, you've never sold a car or anything before, or you're new to the dealership, you may ask your management for a little help. Ask them for a list of orphaned owners. Believe me, every dealership has many orphaned owners, hundreds if not thousands, that no one's contacted in a long time. And take that list, actually call those customers, introduce yourself, and not necessarily calling them up saying, hey, do you want to buy a new car? But how can I help you? I'm here, I'm your guy now, or I'm your gal, and I want to help you. Service, sales, whatever the case may be, and just introduce yourself. And before you know it, you strike up a conversation, you start to build a relationship, And all of a sudden, they're not only buying cars from you, but they're sending their friends, neighbors, relatives to you.
Okay. Alex, do you want to elaborate? You want to add to that? What else can they do?
Yeah, marketing yourself inside the dealership. One of the biggest overlooked places to find new customers and just get people inside your master list of customers is the service department. Even just going over and saying hello to people in the waiting lounge, or dropping them off nowadays for service, and just saying hello and getting their information, and just starting to get used to introducing yourself to people if you're new in the auto industry.
Okay. So
as a salesperson, you should always trying to be increasing a list of customers who know who you are, where you work, and what you do. So anybody who knows those three things about you needs to be on your marketing list.
So let me ask a question. I'm going to put you guys on the spot here. I want you to actually coach me. I'm a new salesperson. So Alex just said, customers waiting for their cars in service. Go up and harvest, as it were. Use that as a source for resources. So tell me, first of all, which one of you want to volunteer? I need a volunteer from you three. Raise your hand. Okay, Ron, you're up first.
Sure, I'll volunteer.
Okay, so Ron, you're on. So tell me what exactly I should say to that customer in the service department when I walk up.
Okay, now in most service departments, you've got a customer lounge where your people will be sitting. They also could be standing on the service drive itself. And one of the things that I always did would have a salesperson on the drive at all times, working the service customers, introducing them. Can I be of some assistance? What are you here for? If it's a warranty item, if it's a repair, question them briefly and basically say that you're a professional with the dealership. And who is your salesperson? Well, I didn't buy it here. Oh, okay, great. There's an opportunity. Who's your salesperson? Mark Banfield. Well, Mark is here. Let me alert him that you're here in the dealership. So it depends on, I'm going to query the customer quickly, and then I'm going to go forward with whatever it may be. If he's never been to our dealership or he's not a customer of our dealership, I'm going to try to adopt him. I'm going to tell him that I can be your point of contact here at the store. Let me give you one of my cards. Let's briefly chat and see what they're there for, and basically just be their, you might say, their concierge on the drive. So it's a really exciting thing when a salesperson can adopt a customer that doesn't have any forced appearance at the dealership and start to create a relationship. Real quick story, and then I'll shut up. We talked about follow-up. I received a email about 2 days ago, and it was from a dealership in Tennessee that I bought my Chevrolet Equinox from. Now, I had never heard from them up until 2 days ago, and I've got 11 months left on my lease. So they reach out to me and ask me if they can be of some assistance. Well, that's the first time that anyone has reached out to me. So I told them that I live in Fort Lauderdale now. I'm not in Tennessee. They said, well, we were able to work out a deal where we bring the car to you. Would you be interested? Hey, if you can bring the car to me and I don't have to drive to Tennessee, why not? If I want to get another Chevrolet. Now, the second thing that happened, and this was yesterday, I get a text from a salesperson, and he just puts lunch with a question mark. Well, the salesperson is the guy that sold me my Lexus. So in 2 days, I got contacted by both salespeople, and I went to lunch with one of them yesterday and had lunch with them. Here's a guy that just does a great job in marketing, staying in touch, not selling anything, just how you doing, Ron? How you making out there in these crazy times? Just creating a friendship. And that's what you want to do. You want to become the foster parents of an adoptee.
So let me ask this question. I'm going to go to Mark to this one. Mark critiqued me. So I'm a salesperson. I go up to that customer in the service lounge. I've got my stack of business cards in my hand, and I walk up to the customer and say, hey, hi, welcome to, are you in for service? And they say, yes, they are. So, what are you having done? Oh, we're having an oil change. Oh, great. Well, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Mark. Here's my card. And I wanted to let you know that, if you ever need a new car, if you're looking for something, if a family member needs a vehicle, please look me up. So tell me how that's going to work, Mark. How did I do?
If I had a buzzer, I would be buzzing you right out. Wrong answer, Mark. You didn't do anything that Ron suggested, and Ron was spot on, right? You need to build rapport. You need to build a relationship. Don't walk in there holding a stack of business cards. Introduce yourself to the customer. Get to know them. Start building a relationship. You have to earn the right to ask them for their business.
Okay. So let's take this outside of the dealership. So we're now going to prospect among, there's a lot of dealerships that have developed a reputation with salespeople. They hire salespeople, let them sell their friends, their family, and their neighbors, and then they, run out of that, they let them go. So how do I develop a relationship with my neighbors in this arena?
Neighbors meaning your immediate neighbors?
Well, the people that live in my development, basically non-family people, how do I prospect them? Whether they're my neighbors, whether they're people that I go to church with, whatever, how do I bring them into this pipeline, this funnel?
I think it's what we talked about earlier is have a list of names that people that know who you are, what you do, and where you work, and whether you have their email, home address, whatever it is you're just sending a simple contact to say hello to them on a regular basis, whether that's once a month, once a year, 3 times a year.
So let me jump in here. So my wife used to have fits with me when we were a lot younger, when we were just getting started out in this business. And I say we because she's been along for the ride and she's participated in it. I mean, she's never worked in a dealership, but she sure as heck knows what it's all about. We would go to weddings, parties, bar mitzvahs, baptisms, quinceañeras, and I would know, a handful of people when we got there. By the time we left, I knew most of the people, and they all knew exactly what I did for a living. And it wasn't that I was trying to sell them while I was there. I was getting to know them, and I would steer the conversation towards what I do.
There you go.
And before I left, I would let them know that, hey, if they ever need any help, I would treat them like all my friends and family, and because now they are friends and family, and I'm the guy. Reach out to me.
There you go.
So when you say steer the conversation, first I've got 2 questions follow up to this. So how do you steer the conversation towards what you do?
So Mark, what do you do for a living?
I sell dictionaries.
Oh, that's fantastic. I have a couple of dictionaries at the house.
Okay, cool.
I'm in the car business.
Do you need a new one?
I'm in the car business.
Okay.
And guess what? Most people love to talk about cars.
So do you offer that you're in the car business, or do you wait for them to ask what you do as polite conversation?
It depends on the conversation.
Okay.
I used to go to lunch and dinner with a dealer that was based out of Virginia, Bill Page Sr., and we would go to these fancy restaurants, and he would always treat, which was wonderful because I couldn't afford a $45 steak. And we'd have a good time. And he said to me, Ron, and he says, you have to overhear conversations. When people are talking, he says, people will talk about 2 things. They'll talk about sex, relationships, and their car. When they talk about sex, just listen. You may learn something. I got 11 kids. He said, to talk about their car, interject and say, I couldn't help but overhear you. By the way, my name is Ron. I'm in the automobile business, and hand him a business card. Always be networking. It's something I'll tell you, I would recommend to anybody in this business, go into a network marketing organization, learn from them.
So is it important to phrase it properly and how you say it? In other words, do you want to introduce yourself? And when you're talking about what you do you say, I sell cars? or do you say if you need help, let me see what I can, get a hold of me and
I'm
I'll
sorry
do
I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. I'm in the automobile business. I might be able to be of some assistance. Here's my business card. Don't want to interrupt, but when you get a chance, give me a shout. We can discuss anything you'd like. I'm here to help you.
So if you have a customer that you overhear in a social setting, whether it's a bar, restaurant, party, whatever, and you do that, is there an impression in that person? Does that customer, that person, have a negative thought go through their mind at that point?
No.
As in, this is just another car guy trying to sell me something.
No.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. How many car guys are doing that? How many car guys are sitting in a social setting and approaching customers and talking to them?
Okay, why not?
Not many.
Why aren't they doing it?
Most salespeople don't do that. Not just, it has nothing to do with just car salespeople. Most salespeople are not that aggressive or that proactive. And I'm not suggesting being aggressive. I'm just talking about networking, getting to know people.
So I keep hearing getting to know people. So are you telling me that the first step in prospecting should be relationship building?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that out there and put that on the table. So tied to prospecting is this concept of marketing, right? So personal marketing. What do I do to personally market myself to the world? Other than what you guys are talking about, face-to-face, vocal conversations, handing cards, whatever. What else can a salesperson do to develop a customer base?
Well, Mark,
if
one
they
of the
step
things
into the 21st century, they can get on their social media, go to the trade-in that they just got in, post a quick video, not a picture. A video's more effective, and say, "Hey, I'm working here. I just got this car in on trade. Pass it along or give me a call."
Okay.
And just be out there and market. Just market yourself. Here's
So
what I do.
So Mark, let me I recently went to a friend's daughter's wedding, and there was some prospective clients for me at this wedding. So I had my friend, who was the father of the bride, introduce me. I just asked him, "Hey, could you introduce me to this guy?" And this friend took it upon himself to not only introduce me, but actually set the stage and really do a more than a proper introduction. I mean, I had about 30 minutes with the guy, and he was asking me for help before we sat down. You remember that, Mark? Because it was your daughter's wedding.
I do. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
all about networking, right?
It was me and Megan. So yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's all about asking your current network, and we all have a network. I don't care who you are, and introducing yourself and meeting new people. And a lot of times, your current network, whether that's friends or family, coworkers, they will introduce you to people. And everybody wants to do business with somebody they like.
Mark, I gave you a copy of one of my books called Automotive Network Marketing.
Yes.
And in that book, there are 52 distinct strategies to create a marketing plan, to do something different 52 weeks of the year, to bring people in. When you find something that works especially well, accent it, do it more. If something doesn't work, move on to the next thing. But you need to be proactively involved in marketing every single day. If you're standing waiting for door swings, you should get a bullet to your left temple. That's a complete bull. And that's what most people do. They'll stand by the door and they'll complain. "Oh, it's slow. The traffic is down. The dealer needs to advertise more." No, he doesn't. You need to get your ass busy.
So, and again, it is prevalent in the car business, right? People, everywhere you go, every dealer you go into, you hear salespeople complaining about there's not enough customers.
Exactly.
There's not quality customers, not good customers. And the question I always ask is, just as you guys are saying, what have you done to find your customers? And they say, well, the dealership provides me customers. Well, you were just saying you did.
There's a lot of downtime in a dealership, and salespeople have to find a way to occupy that time if they're not in front of a customer. A great way is in the morning when you get in, go to the service department, look at who's scheduled to come in. We were talking about service department. It's not a cold call when you go introduce yourself, because you've already looked at the schedule. Who's coming in today? Oh, these guys, I looked their name up. They've got a lease coming due in 6 months. Here's an 89 Chevy Caprice that needs to be traded in. You already know who's coming in and who's a good prospect. Okay. And the conversation from there is easy to start and have.
So you're saying that there's enough, even without going outside of the dealership walls itself, there's enough prospecting to be done right inside there? Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Absolutely. What's your comfort level is if your comfort level's going out and marketing yourself at a restaurant or with outside of the dealership. Sometimes you need to build up and be comfortable with that. And there's a lot of customer opportunities within a dealership to take advantage of that many people don't take advantage of. And I would argue that a lot of dealers it's not on their plate to even think about to get somebody to do.
Okay.
Someone told me something a while back. A guy named Judge Ziegler. He was Zig Ziglar's brother. And Judge, did anyone know him? He was fantastic. And he was funny. The guy was hilarious. One of his comments was always, timid salespeople have skinny kids. And that really makes sense. And that's because we don't want to be rejected. So why should I subject myself to a rejection by asking a question? I mean, come on. Go to that wall behind you and bang your head against it and then say, wait a minute, wise up, guy, get busy.
Yeah. So let me ask this question. So how, as a salesperson, can I use social media to brand myself or build myself up to get people asking me for help? What do I have to do?
You've got to be active. You've got to be active.
How do you have to be active? So, Ron, I'm gonna pull something out of the real world. You posted something on Facebook yesterday or maybe today about and brought to light the venom and the problems of posting opinions on Facebook.
Yes.
Right? And the pushback and feedback, and we're in a world where if you have an opinion, someone else is going to let you know your opinion is wrong in a very strong way. Right? Well,
one of the things I learned I didn't learn quickly, but I did learn on Facebook in particular, don't post any political views.
Okay. But are we not allowed to have opinions?
Sure you are, but if you want, you got to have a strong back to take the ridicule, the disparagement when people want to beat you up. Fight back.
Are we going back to the days when I was growing up, when I was younger, a young lad? The word was
a long time ago.
What was that, Mark? Yeah, it was just last week, right? It's so last century. So here we go. So I would hear two things. Never in polite company, you don't talk what? Two things.
Politics.
And religion. And so Facebook is definitely becoming a lot of the same, is it not? Right. So even though we're allowed to have opinions, it's almost behooving us. So if we're trying to put a professional image of ourselves out there, even though we have these opinions and we want to share them with our friends on media at large, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, those two things are a little more specialty, but you've got to be careful because, again, you are alienating a portion of your potential client base, are you not?
Sure.
So
could be.
So what do you put then? What do you post on LinkedIn? What do you post on Facebook to help build yourself up as that expert?
In my opinion, you just got to keep it simple and focus on your inventory and what you're selling.
So I'll talk to what some of the salespeople that I'm connected with on social media do on a regular basis. I'm connected with a lot of salespeople, right? Probably a handful of them post all the time, and a lot of them post every time they get a new piece of inventory in. They might take a picture and post a comment. They might post pictures of the customers with their new vehicles as they're selling them, congratulating them and welcoming them to their fold or their family. And a lot of them do a nice job of that, and they're kind of in your face all the time if you're friends with them. And I think they're doing a good job of putting their information out there and letting people know that, hey, this is what I do and I'm here for you.
Okay.
I'm a big reader and a big fan of Tom Peters, and I highly recommend Tom Peters' The Brand You 50. Now, what he says here is 50 ways to transform yourself from an employee into a brand that shouts distinction, commitment, and passion. And I have a lot of things that I show you that are marked and earmarked in here that I would use all the time in my classes. And this guy is spot on. Invest in yourself. Go to seminars. Read books. Get passionate about the business. Read trade journals.
So, Ron, after doing that, what do you do with that? How do you use reading books and going to seminars and watching videos? How do you use that to build a customer base? So we're talking in the realm of marketing yourself. What do you do with that information? What do you market from that?
One word, Mark: apply. Read, learn, apply. Listen, learn, apply.
So how do you
results.
Specifically, how do you apply?
When you've learned something, simply do it. Simply do it. Here, I've got something earmarked here. Let me read it to you real quick. Just a couple of things. It says here, what do I want to be? Ask yourself that question. What do I stand for? Ask yourself that question. Does my work matter? And again, am I making a difference? You're making a difference in people's lives. You're providing quality transportation. I'm an automotive retail merchant, and I have to learn how to use that skill. What do I stand for? I stand for passion. I stand for commitment. I stand for quality. And when you have that enthusiasm about yourself, people are going to buy into you.
Okay.
The most important thing is you need to constantly tell people what you do, whether that's in a conversation, an email, a social media post, putting banners out on the side of the road, whatever you're doing. You need to constantly let people know what you do. If you don't tell them what you do, they'll never know what you do.
Okay. Alex, you were smiling there for a minute. I thought you had a thought. What's up?
Yeah, it's just I agree with everything that Ron and Mark said. You just got to have yourself out there and letting people know what you do.
Okay.
And if you're presenting yourself with customers, if your inventory, you're just putting yourself out there as a billboard almost. When somebody's in the market, they'll remember you if you're consistent.
Okay. All right, guys. Good discussion. Our time is about up. So here's the final soapbox moment that you get to actually give yourself a 30 seconds. So Ron, you're holding the book up. I'll give you the first 30 seconds.
Go into a bookstore and ask for this book. There's a series of them. There's 3 of them. This is one. I highly recommend Tom Peters. Go to tompeters.com and learn something today.
Okay.
And then apply it.
All right. Alex, what's your soapbox moment?
I'd just like to give the feedback. Do 2 things. Is take yourself into the service department and look at the schedule of cars that are coming in and find customers there. And 2, post a video of a new trade.
Okay.
Just do 2 things.
You're spot
Get
on.
started.
Mark, your soapbox.
I'm just going to reiterate, talk about what you do often and loudly. And when I say loudly, Today, with the technology and social media and everything, just do it on social media, and you will hit hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Do it often and loudly. Let them know what you do.
Yep. And for my soapbox moments, again, social media is a great way to market yourself, to build a pipeline. Talking about what Mark was saying, I posted a video a couple months ago on LinkedIn. It's a video called "The Nail" about a man and a woman talking and how miscommunication happens. My LinkedIn base is not that big. About 1,500 people. It ended up with about 15,000 views because that just struck a nerve, struck a nail. So it can grow, and you can reach a lot of people fast through that medium. So craft a message, let people know what you're doing, like these guys are saying, work it into the conversation. But remember, it has to start with relationship. Without the relationship, they're never going to come back to you. So with that, we're done for the day. Thank you. I want to remind everyone that we will be back again next week on Thursday at noon, doing this again, talking about another topic with sales. And we call it Listen Up. We're talking about selling. And with that, I'm going to say thanks, guys, and have a great day, and we'll see you later next week.
Be well, gentlemen. Make it a great day.